We ride together up here, from the breaking waves on our rock-bound coast, through towering woods beneath stormy skies, over icy ground and granite hills. We ride together, over the bridges that bind us, the fire in our hearts that fed a revolution, through falling leaves across iron paths. The roll of the stirring drums unearths the humble, hungry, and fun. We ride together up here. When the lantern is raised, we answer its call, as strong as pines in winter, uniting every village and town. Whether here, there, or anywhere, we ride together. These are your riders, your lantern lighters, the pride of New England. Like those before them, they embrace the challenge. Every kick, every pass, every tackle, every free jack on their feet. The anthem of freedom on our lips. We ride together up here.
Hello and welcome to New England Free Jacks Midnight Ride series. This is episode 2 called the 2021 Major League Rugby Schedule. And what a way to bang it up here. I'm Dallen Stanford, a former US Eagle, current World Rugby Commentator, acting as your host for the next 60 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's show, we'll get updates from head coach Ryan Martin, newly appointed assistant coach James Willocks. We'll hear from chief executive and former US Eagle Alex Magleby. We'll chat to performance manager Tom Kindley and 4 players, including Tera Mtembu, Pieter Jansen from South Africa, Harrison Boyle from New Zealand, and Captain Josh Larsen, former Canadian, because now he's a New Englander. This, of course, is an interactive show, so please put any questions you have for our guests in the comments section, and we'll get to them in the next hour. Additionally, please share this on all your social media channels, and we can get rugby to the community and join for this live portion. We had a fantastic episode 1, and if you missed it, just head to our YouTube channel after this. Today, of course, if you have woken up and you're not living underneath a rock, it has been exciting news in American rugby. The landscape for 2021 has changed just a little bit. 2020, we can say goodbye to almost, because we have the schedule for the 2021 season. And if we take a look at that, of course, it is 16 regular season matches for the New England Free Jacks. We have 8 at home, 8 away. The away opponents are listed in red. You can see their logos. In the Eastern Conference, they will face the Toronto Arrows, Old Glory DC, Rugby ATL, NOLA Gold, each time home and away. And then the big news we see this season, New York, they will face in 3 epic battles, 1 at home and 2 away. April 3, mark that on your calendars, the first ever Free Jacks home match against Rugby United New York. They'll be followed by away outings in May and June to the Big Apple. Interestingly, though, the Free Jacks face only 4 of the 7 Western Conference teams. Home matches against the Guiltinis and San Diego Legion, and away fixtures against the Sabercats and Utah Warriors. They will not see action in the regular season against Austin Dallas and the 2-time champion Seattle Seawolves. Wow, what an exciting season we have. And let's get to our first guest on Free Jacks Live, Alex Magleby, former US Eagle captain, former US Eagle Sevens head coach, longtime Dartmouth rugby coach and director, and current chief executive of the New England Free Jacks. Basically, he's the Beyonce of rugby. Mags, how are you keeping, my kind friend?
I'm doing very well. It is always good to hear you talk. Thanks for having me on.
Well, listen, it's great to have you. And I always get a little nervous when I see you because you've got Nate Ebner just lurking to your left-hand shoulder, looking as hungry as ever, but wearing a glorious Free Jacks jumper. I mean, what a great addition to the side.
Yeah, he's fantastic. It's great to have Nate's spirit. At least you know his spirit with us when he's not on the phone as a co-owner. So.
Exactly. Now, let's chat about, we have a ton of major topics we want to get to today, and we just want to go backwards and get some insight into your playing and coaching days. You know, you look extremely young for somebody that has an impressive resume that goes back a long way. You've done so many beautiful things on and off the field. So let's talk a little bit about your pathway. As a young American player, how did you get a chance to represent the U.S. Eagles?
Yeah, Dallen, I grew up in the 90s, had a very good high school team. We all played football together, and there were some guys in that era on our football and rugby team who ended up going to the NFL. So real talent, but it was a world-class high school rugby program, and this is in the 1990s in the United States. So a rarity. So just an opportunity that a lot of other kids didn't have, and we traveled the world and played really, really good rugby. And I was able to take that experience from Highland, and I ended up going to Dartmouth for engineering, but I quickly found out how great the rugby program was once I got to campus, and the long tradition of quality coaching, and just another great program with a really, really strong history, touring history, and immediately 50 great friends on campus from all over the world. And that freshman year, even, there were 8 or 9 guys on that first 15 that had played really high school rugby throughout the U.S. From various countries. And that was the experience I had in college. And I was able to then play for the national team even before I graduated from college. Again, this was part of that changing landscape of performance rugby in the world. The game only went professional in 95. I was graduating from college in 1999, 2000. So that was the first year of the World 7 series. So I was able to play on that. And then I was able to play 15s for the U.S. And just an experience that I'm very fortunate to have been a part of. It was very cool.
And you had some talented teammates in the 15-a-side game and 7s as well. Can you throw us a few names, players you've raced the fields with?
There were so many good ones, but I don't even know where to start. But, if we're just talking about the national teams themselves, when I was playing for the Eagles 15s, you had a fantastic forward pack there with, Haji and Dan Lyle, Luke Gross, Fleet Farmer was on that team. That team was massive and just very, very good. Ray Laynard, another very savvy front row player. You just had a really, really smart, athletic forward pack. So I learned a lot from those guys. And then in 7s, there was just a long list of legends. That's when I came in the program, we kind of didn't really, the team had been in everything. And, we were able to, with John McKittrick came in as head coach. He was a Kiwi. And we were just able to get some consistency and time together. And by doing that, suddenly we were a pretty good team on the circuit. This is in the early 2000s. We beat Fiji with Robeni Thau, and, Born in the USA is chanting, all over the stadium. So it was very cool. And there was a great group. That was Jovessa Naivalu, who was world-class speed. Donnie Younger, who's a fantastic athlete and great human. You had a lot of guys like that. And then, the likes of David Fee came through that program, Paul Emmerich. I mean, there's a long list of really high-quality rugby players that came through. One time we had a full ginger front row, myself, Soulman, Kevin Witcher, and Justin Stencil. Certainly worked hard, but probably one of those things where you may be better at rugby than us, but at least we're slower than you. But it was a good group. And there's so many to name. But yeah, I had a great experience because I was able to play with guys like that.
Well, Mags, I know when I came onto the scene for the US 7s in 2007, so a bit after your time, that era is what we all spoke about because it was the last time the US had beaten Fiji or the last time US had done some great things. So a very special group. Now, you toured, obviously, the days before cell phones, right? And so there must have been some sort of either traveling mix-up stories or worst roommate stories. Have you got something for us?
There were so many really good, bad roommates that, probably stories that I can't share on air, but they were just fantastic. We got caught in Hong Kong during SARS. That was when, thinking of the pandemic, kind of that first real scare of SARS. And we were in Hong Kong. We were supposed to head to Beijing right after, and we had to head back. We were traveling a lot right after 9/11, September 11th. So we had guards in some of the places that we went. There were a lot of those things that were happening. There was a lot of macro, things happening around the world that really were impacting the experiences that we were having as we traveled. But the great thing about that and about rugby and sport is we were able to show up in these countries no matter what was happening, and everybody welcomed you, and it was just part of that. Sport is above all that, and that was very cool.
And then listen, then you transferred to the coaching side of things, and you had tremendous success at Dartmouth. What do you attribute that to, and what were some of your main coaching philosophies?
Dartmouth's always had a lot of consistency. They've had a very good board that's existed for a long time. Before I got there, Wayne Young had been the head coach for a long time. And Dartmouth's always had a lot of those consistency, really supported the student athlete experience. And so when I was learning how to be a coach, I had great mentors from former coaches that I had on the national team, Tom Billups and, my coach at Dartmouth, Wayne Young. But I had time, and a lot of people don't necessarily get that. And time was a really, really important piece to a young coach to be able to experiment. And it was kind of a laboratory. And so we were able to, me and the students kind of figure things out and experiment and find out what worked best for us. And I had that time, and you don't always have that in coaching, especially in a performance environment. And then again, that was right when a lot of things were shifting on college campuses in regards to collegiate rugby. So I was on the front end of that. So I was able to be a part of kind of the changes where it went to professionalized coaching, professionalized medical. We're not going to get any more time with the athletes. We still got, 5 days a week for 90 minutes, basically. But let's make those 90 minutes as efficient as possible. And I was part of that, and lucky to be a part of that. Those changing things that were happening on college campuses in regards to rugby. So that really helped at a place like Dartmouth.
And then you went on and coached the national side. So as you said, you played in the early 2000s in the series, and then you took the head coach role. We worked together with Russia at the Sevens World Cup. You touch on some of your experiences coaching the national side?
Yeah, and again, that's a part of that evolution. I was an analyst, and I was the head coach of the Collegiate All-Americans 15s, and then Collegiate All-American 7s, which was fantastic. And then Al Caravelli had done a great job building the U.S. 7s program, kind of on the men's side. I came in right when we had the first full-time residency program. So I was able to come in, and there was that structure there, and then move that forward. I knew I was going to basically do 2 seasons. That's what I committed to. We wanted to have a family, and there was no way I was going to be able to do that, spending 11 months on the road. But we were able to build some consistency and systems within the U.S. 7s infrastructure. And what an amazing experience that was to work with those players and, help a lot of those players get into the national team. And then now to see where they are now, a decade later almost, and just how well they represent the U.S. out there. It's so awesome. I'll get up at any time of the day to see those guys play because they are just so awesome to watch.
Well, I love your background, how the game has given you so much, and you've given the game back, even more, which I think is so valuable. And we love that, So let's talk about giving back as well. Let's talk about the Free Jacks. 2021 season schedule just released. What are your initial thoughts, reactions?
Oh, yeah. So going back to rugby and everything, it's a gift that keeps on giving, right? Who said that? Yeah. Clark Griswold or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure we know it is the gift that keeps on giving, for sure. I'm pumped about the schedule. Like, just looking forward to 2021. How awesome is that? We were able to shift the season a few weeks to buy us a bit more time. And I think that's really going to help us here in New England. We don't have to be on the road for 5-6 weeks at the first. The first part of the season, and we can actually host some games pretty early on. So that's really exciting. And we very quickly can jump into, hopefully hosting people and having a big festival. And, we'll see what happens with COVID, but we're really excited to get on the field and at least show the product that we've been working really hard to develop. So it's going to be very cool. And it's not like, okay, we have to play 7 games on the road and then, 7 matches at home and then a couple of different ones. So that's really exciting. So we're super pumped about that.
And then, Mags, what other updates do you have for the Free Jacks community? I know that there's a founding members waiting list as well for tickets. Folks can check that at freejacks.com. But what else do you have for us?
Yeah, I mean, how awesome is that? That last year we hadn't even really played a home game, and we were second in the league in season ticket holders, founding members. Vast majority of those founding members have found a way to stick with the team heading into 2021, and now. Today, they're getting, communications in regards to how do they use their credits from last year to this year. There's a lot more seating options that didn't exist previously. Part of that is to make sure that we can expand space if we have to reduce capacity in a COVID type situation. But now there's a lot more options because of that, and there were some really, really exciting options. There's sideline pods. You can be right next to the action. There's more seat backs in the stands. There's a south stand, which is very cool. And we'll still, of course, have the beer garden on the north. So a lot more potential options. So it's going to be very, very cool. I mean, that's what I'm really excited for the guys on the field and the magic they're going to create. But as excited as when we get to that point where we're going to all hang out and have a great time and rugby festival.
Well, that's the thing. It's about that community, right? And so I'm so pleased you're creating that. And well, Mags, we'll let you get back to it. We want to thank you again for joining us on Free Jacks Live. Enjoy your beautiful home in the Shire, and we'll catch up with you very soon, my friend.
Thank you. Cheers.
Alex Magleby, absolute legend there. Meanwhile, we have some other breaking news. We got some merchandise that is coming up right here. We got a buy one, get one free that's happening right now at freejacks.com. The media folks just surprised me with that, looking very sleek. We got the poltergeist there, Evan just modeling with these tattoos there, and his missus with her shirt as well. So don't tell my wife as well, because she thinks I have enough kit to last a lifetime. And so make sure you go check that out. All right, so now moving across, keep those questions firing from our guests on social media. We've got a ton of legends coming up, pretty sure right now we head to New Zealand, where we catch up with our head coach, Ryan Martin. That's where he's currently living. And Ryan, well, last time we caught him, it was 4 a.m. So listen, I apologize that this is a better time for you, my friend. How are you doing?
No, thank you very much for a later start today. It's much appreciated, but I'm going very well. Thank you.
So, pal, listen, we always talk about a COVID bubble in the rest of the world, but in New Zealand, your bubble, has 4 million strong?
Yeah, that's correct. It's been great. We can get out and do what we need to do. So now we've been pretty lucky over here.
Yeah, Coach, listen, I want to thank you also for the old footage you had when you played alongside Richie McCaw. It went down like a homesick mole on the socials. And it was absolutely brilliant because Richie just was named in the World Rugby Team of the Decade. So technically, you set him up for success.
Yeah, I've had a few media requests around talking about the leadership skills provided at a younger age. So I'll probably follow up on a few of those.
So now listen, last month when we spoke to you, heading into the playoffs with your side, you were coaching. Tell us how the rest of the season went with Otago.
Yeah, so we actually had a really awesome regular season. We went 7 from 9 of our round robin games and beat some teams, Canterbury, who are essentially the Crusaders for the first time in over a decade, and Wellington, who are essentially the Hurricanes as well. So we were riding really nicely, and sadly we had a little bit of a hiccup at the end of the round robin, lost the game, and then went into the semi-finals with maybe not as much momentum as we wanted, and ended up losing to Northland in our semi-finals. So when you reflect on it around as a season holistically, we're pretty happy with how we went. We're, in terms of our attack, we're topping the stats, average game line carry meters, and our tackle percentage was up there as well. So it was just one of those missed opportunities from our perspective in terms of the playoff. But now that we've had a week or so to reflect, you kind of look at a pretty good season.
Yeah, listen, that's great to hear. Now switching roles, of course, we got the new Major League Rugby 2021 season schedule come out. Does it play for you in your mind? Does it play a small, medium, or large role how you prepare for the season, or does it not matter?
For me, it does play quite a big role. Looking at 16 rounds, that's like over here at Mitre Cup, we only play 10 plus playoffs. So 16, you've got to really manage the ebbs and flows throughout the season. So that pertains to the depth of your squad and being able to obviously keep everybody fresh and excited for the length of the competition. So for me, it's around making sure that we're having the peaks at the right time throughout the season, and obviously the interconference games are the really crucial ones. We get to play New York 3 times, which I've heard is our big rival. So I look forward to doing the 3-peat over them. It was cool to see the draw come out and have that stability around what it looks like. And we'll obviously start our preseason in mind of that. We've got a 16-week journey before playoffs, so just making sure that we get the right momentum leading into that.
Yeah, people are buzzing over here because, 2020 obviously has been such a challenging year for everybody, particularly sports, particularly the US as well. But let's talk about, you've seen some tremendous players put pen to paper for next season. Could you run through each position and get your comments on what you like about your players that you've selected so far? Maybe just a reason or two why you wanted them in the makeup of the squad, So we'll take them in groups. So we'll start with the engine room up front, the front row.
Yep. So in the engine room up front, we've actually got 2 big South Africans coming in. So Andre Vos coming in from the Southern Kings. We've got Pieter Jansen, who you're looking at there, the hooker, who played for the Lions. Funnily enough, we actually played him when I was coaching the Melbourne Storm this year in Melbourne. And Peter actually spent some time in New Zealand at Christ College, and the team I was coaching, the Otago Boys, played against him as well. So we've got a little bit of a connection there, playing each other in a competitive from high school through to pro football. So he's a very accurate hooker, really awesome set piece, and obviously loves to carry the ball, as you've seen in some of these clips here. Also joining in the South African, another South African we've got coming over is Eric De Jager, the Jager Monster. So he comes from the Cheetahs, having played Super Rugby, and once again a set piece specialist, big tight head. But what I really like about Eric is he loves to carry the ball, and that's kind of the whole theme around me. Is if you're a big man, you still got to be able to open the legs up and enjoy playing in the width as well. So that's pretty exciting with our South African trio that we're bringing in. Obviously, we've got Kinsuki still there as well, and a crowd favourite, and we'll be getting the big man scoring some tries, I believe, this year. We've got Kyle Sakira as well, Spencer Kruger and Quinton Newcomer. So we've actually I'd say, pretty well stocked in our front row this year. And going back to what I was mentioning around the length of the competition, it means we can really get some good rest and rotation for the big fellas, so they're always playing at their best.
Yeah, that was an issue with some teams we noticed especially the first 2 years in Major League Rugby. Folks underestimate how important that front row was. That's really good. So moving then to the locks, and of course one of them is your captain, Josh Larsen. He's on this episode coming up a bit later. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have a relationship with Josh from New Zealand. So he was in the Otago Mitre Cup team in 2018. So it'd be great to reconnect with Josh. And, he's just a workhorse. He's what I call a nose across face, put your head in the spokes player. If there's a dark space, he'll find it and go to it. He's got a great skill set for a lock as well, as you can see there, throwing missed balls. He's got great soft skills. So he's going to be a pretty big component of our line-out and obviously in the way that we play the game. And he'll be a really good leader in our environment as well, obviously being captain last year. We've also got Jackson Thebes, Connor Kingrogan, and Ronan McCusker. So we've got, once again, the ability to rest and rotate our locks throughout the season. And for me, looking at the competition, your tight five is super important around the style you want to play, but obviously being able to be really dominant and play it on some of those harder, faster surfaces. Those big fellas need to be able to move, and that's what I'm probably pretty pumped around our guys, is they're all very mobile.
Yeah, and then we take a look at the loose forwards. I know Tera Mtembu, you didn't base the selection on his trivia because he was terrible when we spoke to him earlier.
Yeah, no, I was pretty excited to be able to pick up Tera, to be honest. What a fantastic leader he's been in the Sharks. He's got the same demeanour, character as Sia Khaleesi, and I just love what he's going to bring to our environment, especially the off-field. So working with our domestic players and the community. So we're really pumped around him. Obviously, he's a devastating ball carrier, so I think it'll be pretty exciting to see some of the stuff he's going to be able to do. We've actually got Joe Johnston from New Zealand, who has an American passport. So he's actually a domestic player, and he's been lighting up the Mitre Cup competition over here playing for Bay of Plenty. He's probably been the form open side flanker. So Joe's going to come over with some serious momentum and form. And once again, I've got a relationship with Joe. I coach in the New Zealand Barbarian Schools team. He's my captain. So another guy with a nicer relationship there. Obviously, Jack Ram, who was one of my favourite players when he was playing for Northland in the Mitre Cup over here, and he's been over in Coventry. And Jack's played for Tonga as well, Tonga Sevens, and at the World Cup represented Tonga. And once again, just a true professional. He's been a professional for over 10 years now, so he's going to bring some really good off-field attributes to our players. I was pretty happy when we picked up Justin Johnson. He looks like the goods for us and a big rig. So it'll be cool to see how he goes when I get over there and Faith. And we've got Evan Geist. I think you call him the poltergeist. So he looks like a serious specimen. Obviously, I've yet to meet him, but looks like he enjoys the pull-up bar in the gym. So he's my kind of character.
Yeah, scary guy indeed. We love him. All right, let's move across to the backs. What talkative halfbacks have you got? Let's start with the scrum halves.
Yeah, so the first footage I watched of New England, the guy that kind of caught my attention was John Pollen, the halfback, and I was very intrigued at this kid. He is phenomenal. So I reckon he's one of the better halfbacks I've seen playing at that level of the game. So I'm really excited to get over there and work with him, to be honest. Being a halfback myself, it'll be cool to compare notes and see where he's at. We also picked up Sean Jacobin from the Colorado Raptors. So he's going to come in, and my conversations with Sean were around challenging John, because you want your nines scrapping out every week for that jersey, and that's where they get better. So we're pretty excited around there. And we've got Tom Brasati as well. So once again, going back to that theme of having depth in key positions, obviously nine being a specialist position, you need at least 3 or 4 good nines having a scrap each week to win that jersey. So we're in a pretty good space there.
Yeah, you certainly do. And then the pretty boys, fly-offs?
Yeah. So we've probably got a little bit of an outlier or anomaly in our teams, that we've got 2 great redheads, Targ Leader and Harrison Boyle. Interestingly, my relationship with Harrison actually is from Otago. He's been in our Mitre Cup squad this year. So Harry was actually born in Boston. So he's got an American passport, and he's coming over in February. So we're pretty pumped for him to come over and join Targ, and they'll probably have a wee ginger head club, and it'll be pretty cool. We've also got Bodine Walker, who's been playing phenomenally over here for Waikato in the Mitre Cup. The beauty with all three of those players is obviously they can play 15 as well. So for me, the versatility of those three is brilliant for us. Harry Boyle was also very physical. He could easily pop into 12. So we've got some a really good mix there around. We can have first, second receivers and how we want to use those three.
Yeah, and then the battering rams in midfield.
Yeah, so the battering rams we're actually quite exciting in the midfield. We're maybe not as big as other teams, but we've got real high skill level and electric players. So we've got Harry Barlow, who's coming over from England. He's been in the Harlequin system, young fella. He's a really excitable guy. I call him the gentleman. He's going to bring some great character over, and he's just about working and getting better. So he's going to be awesome for us. Super quick. We've got Liam Steele from New Zealand, who was in the team last year. Liam's super tough. Once again, had a great background of playing professionally in New Zealand for years. So he's got the ability to play in multiple positions for us. He actually played on the wing as well, so he's quite a versatile player. We've got Aliki Morris from Otago. Aliki's super electric, a brutal defender. This guy hurts, and he'll add some real steel to what we're trying to do there. And then we've got Kawasa Wakenbao from last year as well. So once again, that group there can all play mid to outsides as well. So we've got really nice ability there to shift those players around and mix and match combos.
Yeah, you got some real skill in the back line. I think that's really was impressive as well, outside of having a good, strong pack. And then rounding out your side, you've got some good talented back three as well. Yeah,
so in the back three, obviously we'll mix it around with our midfielders. But we've got Dougie Fife coming in from Scotland. I've always been a big fan of Dougie. He's been a true performer in the Seven Circuit for Scotland over many years, and what a great character. And he's a big rig. Some of the footage of watching him play in 15s, I don't think I'd put my head close to his legs as he's running. So he's going to be a pretty scary figure, especially on those hard and fast surfaces that we'll be playing on. We've got Mitch Wilson there from the team as well. So he's a good battler, and I'm looking forward to working with him and seeing how we can stretch him a bit further as well. But basically, we'll be mixing around the midfielders and the outsides. Just the style we're going to play is, my rule is after set piece, there's no positions on the field. So it's kind of that group's a combined group, really.
Beautiful. Well, we can't wait. Now, listen, when we speak next again, it'll be the 2021 season. So do you have any rugby resolutions for the new year, like maybe shaving that stash?
We're looking at the weather conditions over there in Boston. I'm probably going to come over with quite a chunky beard, I think.
I'd recommend that. It snowed this past weekend, my friend, and it's really not. It's not t-shirt weather at all anymore.
No. So I'll be looking to make a wee coat for my face, and that's probably my big one.
Good, Coach. Well, that's brilliant. Keep safe that side. Enjoy your family. Again, thank you for stopping by from the land of the long white cloud, and keep carving in beautiful New Zealand.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers, pal. Fantastic. Well, we're nearly halfway through our Free Jacks live show. We heard from CEO and Instagram influencer Alex Magleby. We just spoke to our head coach, Ryan Martin from New Zealand. Keep those questions and comments coming. And then, of course, I've got one right here, actually. Little text coming through here. Oh, no, it's from my wife telling me to keep it down. Okay, don't worry about that. We'll keep going. Let's see who we got next on the show. Assistant coach for the Free Jacks, newly appointed James Willocks. Well, hello. How are you keeping, my friend? Congrats on the new appointment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm keeping very well. You talk about the snow. I'm sitting up here in New Hampshire in about 3 feet of it. So sort of a little bit like Mardo trying to fill this out, but I'm hoping puberty comes by pretty quickly, but that's all right.
No, how long did that take you to grow you? How long was that?
Too long.
Too long. Okay. We'll get back to the rugby.
All of that.
Listen, exactly. Now, listen, my friend. Tell us a bit about your background, like where you grew up and your journey to the US.
Yeah, so interesting. I grew up about an hour south of where Mardo's sitting right now. So I grew up in small town Balclutha, New Zealand. So went to University of Otago after obviously a stint at high school, and found my way over to the States in about 2012. And I guess it's the condensed version, but a beautiful wife and a couple of kids later, and this is home.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you got a chance to work with the Dartmouth football and rugby side. Can you tell us some of the differences you notice working closely with both those programs?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess there's obviously the obvious ones, the numbers. I mean, the Dartmouth football squad carries about 110 students. So just the pure man management itself was really interesting. And I guess from a coaching standpoint, it's probably the nature of the sports. You walk into football and it's very coach driven, whereas sort of the rugby environment is you empower your decision makers. But football was very coaches call the play, so on and so forth. And I mean, for me, it was an amazing experience because like my understanding of American sports was what I'd seen on TV. And I walked into sort of the weight room here at Dartmouth and saw exactly what you see on TV with the yelling and the screaming, and it was pretty cool experience.
And then in 2017, you took over the head coach role at Dartmouth, right? And then you also, that same year, you spent time working with the Penn State women's side. So what was that experience like working at those two different programs?
Yeah. So 2017, I left to take the head coach of the Penn State men's job, which was awesome experience. I loved that trip down to State College. That was my first head coaching gig. State College was awesome. But definitely different environment. Sort of, it's probably a horses for courses type analogy. We had certainly different students than we had at Dartmouth, so that required sort of probably a different approach to the game and sort of to the delivery as well. But great place, great program. We loved our time there, and then again, just thankful to get an opportunity to be able to come back to Dartmouth. So
yeah, beautiful place to be, you know. And now you've seen a lot of younger players, a lot of talent come through as the USA Rugby Men's Collegiate All-American head coach. How would you rate the conveyor belt of talent?
Yeah, I would rate it as growing. I would rate it as getting wider. And I think a lot of the initiatives by the MLR teams, particularly I know the Free Jacks were doing a great job to try and widen that pipeline. I'd say it's growing because, and Mags even alluded to it earlier on in the piece where he was part of a high performance high school program back in the early 70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere around that. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But there's more high performance opportunities, whether that's at high school, collegiate, and now professional. And I think sort of where these MLR teams are building academies is only helping those pipelines grow because we can provide more experiences, better quality training, which is what's required.
And then listen, if we talk now about the Free Jacks looking ahead to next year, what sort of areas of expertise were you going to bring to the table for them?
Yeah, good question. Experience. I think experience as far as knowledge of the domestic pathways, knowledge of the organisation, knowledge of some of the players we've got. I think that's really important because I've been on the staff as sort of an advisor for the first couple of years. And I mean, last year we had some highs and we had some lows and we took a lot of lessons out of that. So I think the big part of my role is making sure we don't repeat any of those shortcomings. And then again, we make sure we improve and get better. And then I guess a little bit like Ryan, I mean, I'm very, very excited to get to work with Ryan. I mean, fantastic coach, and Ryan's background's an educator. Right. And I think me having worked in university education for the last 8 years, I think I really value that. So I think that's sort of being able to deliver a message. I think that's probably one of my strengths.
So listen, my friend, I want to thank you for popping in briefly and really excited to have you on board. Get back to it. Enjoy the rest of the December time period. Keep warm, of course. We know the snow's coming, and look after that stash. We may have a competition with you and Mardo when he gets here.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, I don't want that. Yeah. All right, thanks, mate.
Thanks, Phil. Cheers, man. James Willocks, assistant coach there for the New England Free Jacks, joining us. Wow, we're all over the world in this Free Jacks live show. So thanks again for popping in and just checking to see what's happening here in New England, representing the 6 regions close by. Time now to visit South Africa, where 2 rather large Kwaggaburgers live. 2 players that should have a big impact on all things happening in Major League Rugby. And here we have a look right. The big units. Peter, how's it going, my friend?
Good on yourself, Dallen. Good on yourself.
Jeez, man, I don't know if you're standing very close to the camera, but you look like a sizable unit there, my friend. I believe they call you Piston, right? That's your nickname.
Yeah. I don't know where it actually come from, but yeah, one day I just rocked up to training and they called me that and it stuck. So unfortunately, don't have much of a choice with those kind of things.
Yeah, no, we will keep it going in the commentary booth as well. And we got Tera Mtembu. How are you, my friend?
Very well, thanks. Yourself?
Listen, you're not mad at me for the trivia comments, are you?
We'll chat about it afterwards.
Listen, again, I appreciate the social media follow as well. Just don't unfriend me, my friend. I'll keep it clean.
I don't have a choice.
All right. Well, listen, let's start with you, Peter. What sort of sports other than rugby did you enjoy growing up?
Yeah, no, look, my parents pushed me to try every kind of sport that there was there. I tried cricket, golf, track and field. So I did basically everything. But yeah, my love actually grew for cricket as well as rugby, and that's the two sports that I went into. And yeah, it came to a point I had to choose between rugby and cricket, and I went rugby. And I must say, the decision worked out like well in my favor, like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, you would be a scary cricket player as well if you come steaming bowling down with that frame. Tera, your journey to rugby is different as well, because I remember when you and I chatted last month, you said you didn't actually like the game.
Yeah, my first love was cricket. Played cricket with my dad and my brothers, and obviously friends around the community. And the school that I went to, we all had to play a summer and a winter sport, and I got away with it for 2 years. And so yeah, I was forced to play rugby. I tried it out, and I remember I made the A team, like I said, and then I got dropped after the first game. And I mean, I was happy with it. And then the older I got, I just got better and better in the sport, and I just got to a stage where I also had to choose between the two and chose rugby. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you did as well, and the Free Jacks also. Well, we got people that are commenting. They're sending some questions as well. I think there's one coming up for you, Tera, in just a few seconds here from Mark Friedman. And he says, two-part question for you. He says, what is your preferred position in the back row? And did you ever have any thoughts of being called up to play for the Springboks?
My preferred position is number 8. But I'm comfortable in playing 6 or 7, but I prefer number 8. And yes, I did have ambitions to play for the Springboks. As we all know, everyone in South Africa that is a professional rugby player wanted to play, but it obviously wasn't meant to be, and I'm okay with it. Gave it my best shot, but yeah, I did, but it just never happened.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You also played Springbok Sevens, and you also under 20 representative as well, you know. So let's move across to Peter. Peter, give us some background, though, on your playing career, your experience with the Lions.
Yeah, no, look, when I jumped into the Lions straight after school, and once I got there, it was quite a tough situation. We didn't have a sponsor for the whole union, and so to be part of that, where that building process is, when we had nothing and build it up to where it is now, it was quite humbling and quite fun, even through the tough times. And yeah, as you got more into the senior system, I started to enjoy the running game, if I can put it as that, the Lions embraced, and yeah, it just flourished. And yeah, can't say enough the way that the Lions helped me grow in my preparation and as a person as well, and just not in rugby but as off the field as well, was immense for me. So yeah, grateful for them for the 7 years I got to spend with them, and yeah, for the way that they just helped my rugby career on.
And listen, pal, I saw this video online. You fast forward during the workout, but then you slow down when you rest. What was going on here?
Yeah, no, look, it's one of those things that I ask you to do. I'm not too keen on trying the way I work or work out. Rather, I'm quite a guy that I keep to myself in that sense. I work in silence and rather just let the results speak for itself. But yeah, they asked me to do it, and just thought, no, I'll just show the rest that I am resting in certain things, just not to think that it's all flat out one speed. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. Good. So folks can try emulate that as well, you know. And Tera, yourself with the Sharks, you had an unbelievable career there in Durban for over a decade. Can you describe the difference between playing in the Currie Cup and Super Rugby, two massive competitions?
Yeah, so there's obviously Super Rugby for me is the closest thing to Test Rugby. So all teams from New Zealand, Australia, Argentina of late, and the Sunwolves, each team has got their best players at the union. So that's the closest rugby that you'll get to Test Rugby. The Currie Cup is also not the same intensity, but a different beast, because it's a local competition. There's always an internal competition with your mates, and I mean, obviously guys around the country. So and the Currie Cup speaks for itself with its history, and I mean, it's two great competitions to be part of.
And now listen, have you guys played against each other at all? I didn't check that. Any war stories for us?
Tera, you can go first.
I'm not too sure. I can't remember, but I'm sure we won.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. I think I played against Tera a few times, maybe more in Currie Cup than Super Rugby.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, when it ever comes to a local derby, the teams always pitch that physicality is just that anti a bit more, as in, let's say you play an Australian team or anything like that, because South African teams try to dominate each other physically and try out muscle anything. So yeah, I think my memories of Tera is just a gentleman on and off the field. So yeah, just a good oak.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now we're going to go to our next one here. Any terrible roommates you've had over your time? We know Tera's one, but let's start with you, Pieter.
Yeah, I can recall one. I had one when I was a bit younger, was still coming through the age groups. He played tight head prop, and I don't know if all the props are the same, but they think they're the next idol or anything like that, and he couldn't stop singing whenever he was in the shower. So once he was out of the shower, he kept on singing and went on for hours, and it actually came to a point I just asked him, please, mate, let's just go to bed and play the game, and then he can start singing again. So, yeah, that one stands out for me. And
Tera, please repeat your one about the Beast.
I hope you're not watching this. So he was an interesting one where it was early on in my career, and we went to France. We played a warm-up game against Toulon, and I'd heard stories before, but I just wanted to experience it for myself. So he was a very interesting roommate where he would have the lights out at 7 p.m. And I couldn't leave the room. I couldn't play on my phone because of the time difference. I wanted to connect with mates and family, and he just wanted everything off because he was a very sensitive sleeper. And I even got to a stage where I would sleep at my other teammates' rooms because I'm not an early sleeper. So he's by far the worst roommate I've ever had. And yeah, if anything happens to me, just know it's him.
We've been warned, exactly. All right, James, listen, the last couple before I let you go. Pieter, let's start with you. Talk about your journey here to New England. What excites you about joining the Free Jacks in 2021?
Yeah, obviously the new challenge that lies ahead for me. It's something out of South Africa. I always am fascinated with the States and just the way everything is done that side. So now getting an opportunity to go and play there, and especially with the squad that's assembled now, I'm just looking forward to, like I said, the challenges that lie ahead and what we can achieve as a group. So again, it's something that as player you need to set goals and certain things you look forward to and you want to achieve. And yeah, with this group of players that we assemble, I think we can do something great in New England and in the Major League. So that's something I'm looking forward to immensely.
That's brilliant. And then, Tera, you'll be working with some of the Free Jacks Academy, the younger players. How important is it for you to be involved in the community?
Sorry, can you repeat? I couldn't hear.
Tera, I was saying you're going to be working with some of the younger players in the community. When you get here, you'll be helping on the coaching side of things as well. Is that very important to you?
Yeah. So for where I grew up in the Eastern Cape, it's a place that we don't have a lot of resources. And I was just fortunate that I got that one opportunity and took it with both hands. And a big, like all my close mates, Karen, Tubeni, Sia, we appreciate the Eastern Cape so much. And the longer we played in the game, we just wanted to give back to community. We know where we come from and not forgetting where we come from. And we know that opportunities there are limited. Getting involved with the Free Jacks Academy, it's something that, the coaching side is something that I'm also very passionate about, and I'm excited to get involved and learn so much and just give back to the community. There's many other kids who would love to be where we are, and all they need is opportunity and some guidance. And I'm just looking forward to that opportunity to add value wherever I can.
Well, listen, you two, I want to thank you so much. The Free Jacks here are so excited to have you guys land here in Boston. And we look forward to that big season coming up next year. So we'll let you Water Buffaloes go. Be safe in South Africa, and we'll see you early next year.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Dylan. Thanks for having us.
Cheers, guys. Pieter and Tera, absolute legends, set to join the Free Jacks in 2021. And speaking of legends, you can be a legend too, of course. We've got a ton of great gear and kit. You can check out the website, freejacks.com. You can shop now. There's a buy one, get one free deal as well that's going on. Training gear, kit for women and men, little Christmas celebration gifts as well if you want to stock up the stocking stuffers. I've given a few of those to my missus to see if she can get me some of those. And you can see some of our players sporting some brilliant gear there. All right, we're 15 minutes away from closing our show. Joining us next, it's hello and welcome to Tom Kindley. He is the New England Performance Manager and one of the nicest guys around. And Movember has treated you well, my friend.
Yeah, mate. I think Ryan touched on the weather, but I'm going to have to stay warm through the winter as well, mate. So it's pretty terrible, but it'll have to do.
No, listen, you're probably still raising millions with that stash. I do love it, TK. Well, let's get right to it, my friend. You've been busy. You've been all over New England. You've managed to fall extremely well. Can you give us a recap of the programs that you've run, over the last couple of months and what the purpose of them were?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks to the help of, I think we had nearly 50 odd administrators and coaches that were involved at a local level to help us really get the show on the road. So of our 13 regional training groups or 13 locations right across New England, we managed to get to 10 of those and run tracking days at each of those events. And through those tracking days, we were able to obviously increase participation, hopefully connect with the local stakeholders and bodies, connect with those groups and let them know what we're trying to do, which is just provide an additive supportive network and help grow the game. So we were able to do that and then obviously identify players moving forward for our under 16, under 18, under 20 and independence men and women side. So yeah, mate, it's been a really busy, hectic full period, particularly with the COVID regulations we've had to adhere to, but massive thanks to particularly Oliver Engelhardt, who managed to really make sure that we had everything buttoned up and all the coaches that were on our side as well there.
And then, mate, where does that leave the academy system now? What infrastructure has been put in place moving forward?
Yeah, so you may have seen we selected an initial wave of 144 players of regional interest. So that was our 16s, 18s, 20s, and independence men and women. So with our 16s and 18s, we got them together for the first time over the weekend with a sort of a high performance player of regional interest, 16 and 18 training group. Just training session with some of our coaching staff as well. So obviously we're going to be building towards playing Major League Rugby academies, particularly on the East Coast moving forward into 2021. And this is sort of our initial preparation step in building towards those fixtures. So that's what we've been sort of building towards. And obviously with COVID and everything like that, we've had to manage it and we will have to continue to manage it. But we're making really positive steps now that the infrastructure's there. Sort of the world's our oyster and we're ready to go.
Yeah, you're one of the few sides in Major League Rugby that is doing that. So how does this help and assist the Free Jacks?
Yeah, good question. I think obviously Ryan touched on depth and we need, an abundance of depth to be competitive long-term within Major League Rugby. So we're hopeful that, through this process, we're going to be fostering development right from, the grassroots level, from our youth learn to play systems that are across New England, through 16s, 18s, 20s, the whole way through to independence. And then from that independence pool, we've got 32 contracted players, but in a given year, we may need up to 45 players to take the field for us. So obviously we need that independence pool to be strong. And that's going to be the pool of players that we're going to be selecting from. Obviously for the women's side of the game as well, just as important, we are hoping to funnel as many players into the women's national team setup as possible from New England and really want New England to just be a powerhouse of USA rugby. So that's what we're working hard to do. And it's given us the opportunity, COVID that is, to, really get our hands on this area of the game in our region.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch, And then TK, once these players arrive, how do you anticipate the two will mesh together?
Yeah, I think, we've established these 13 different locations. So now it's really easy to get, let's say 5 players to go to Maine on a Wednesday evening to run a session up there, get 5 to go to Western Mass, 5 to go down to Connecticut. So we've put the infrastructure in place for our players to get really immersed, and they all want to. They're all reaching out saying, hey, loving what you guys are doing. Can't wait to get there, get hands-on, help where I can. Obviously, we've got the likes of Tera who's going to be involved and some academy coaches. And I think the expertise they can bring to different areas of the game and the experiences that they can impart amongst this playing group is just as important as the rugby. So, we're hoping to also develop individuals through this process as well and provide some role models for these players too.
And then TK, I believe you have one of those younger players in Aidan Feeney joining us now for a chat. I'll let you ask the young eel some questions.
Yes, we've got Aidan Feeney here, who's been fantastic. I think he's just about been to every Free Jacks event we've had to date. He's in their under-16 Junior Jacks players setup, and obviously he plies his trade locally for the Boston Irish Wolfhounds as well. He's a natural with gloves on his hands as well. I think he's a New England champion. Aidan, maybe to get started, mate, how are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you? I really appreciate you guys having me on here.
Good man. And mate, tell us about your journey into finding rugby. Obviously, I touched on your boxing and you've played a number of sports, but how did you find rugby and what's your athletic background been to date?
Well, I started off playing Gaelic football at the Cultural Centre in Canton, and I had seen the Wolfhounds older group playing, and I thought it was really cool, so I asked my dad if I could do it, and he said sure, and we came down, and it's history. It's just
brilliant.
On and up.
No, that's also obviously a classy little player, very nippy, great skill set. Mate, tell us how you found the academy sort of system and set up to date. What have you enjoyed about it? What have you learned?
It's been really fun. Like, it's really hard work, but at the same time, you're having a lot of fun. It's really high intensity. I've learned a lot in a short time, and I've met a lot of good people, and I've had people who are like mentors to me and role models, just Tom and Tig and Oliver and everybody. It's all just a good group of guys that help us get better.
Awesome. I love it. And Aidan, aspirationally, where do you want to take your rugby? Where would you like to get to? Do you have an end goal in mind, anything that you're thinking of in the game?
As far as I can go, if I could play for the Free Jacks, that'd be awesome. So one thing I really want to do is captain the U16 Junior Jack side, and then just as far as I can go. And if I could play for the Junior Jacks or the Independents or anything, I would love to do it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm sure we will see you in the Junior Jacks setup playing, that is, very soon. And then I guess the last question for you, mate, role models within the Free Jacks. Is there a player in particular or a set of players? Obviously, I'm sure you'll have a bit of a tendency to go for the Gingers here. But any role models within the squad?
Tig, yeah. Tig's been really helpful. Like, he's helped me from buying tees to just giving me advice about how to be a better teammate or a better player. Like, I could go to Tig and he would always give me a full answer, and an answer that's useful and help me get better. Like, like even for tips, like I would go to his kicking camps, and I would come back a better player every time. And he's a good person too, so he's someone I look up to as a person and as a player.
Good man. Yeah, no. And look, it's been a pleasure having you involved, and it's players like Aidan that are beginning to take sort of leadership roles within the teams as well and the setup. So Aidan, looking forward to continuing to work with you and hopefully seeing you rip up against the likes of Rooney and Toronto in the near future, mate.
Yeah, I would love to.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Man, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.
Aidan, what a champion coming through there. Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing, you're having positive role models in the community, inspiring the next generation of players, young girls, young boys like Ed and Tom. Thank you so much for what you're doing, TK, on that side as well. And your stash game is very strong. I will say you're on the leaderboard when it comes to the Free Jacks. Ollie Engelhardt's got nothing on you. Mags, keep the change. Never heard of him. My friend, look after yourself. Yeah, I know. I have a comment over there. Whitaker Willocks. That's exactly what I was going to say as well. You're wearing one of the small, tight jumpers there because those biceps, they're certainly unreal.
Oh, mate, I can fill out the extra small, but I think James is wearing the medium, so hopefully I can get there at some point.
All right, TK, thanks for joining us, my friend. We'll let you get back to riding the horse into New England. And time for us now to head down to New Zealand. We're back there again. Up-and-coming youngster Harrison Boyle is going to join us, and the Captain Fantastic Josh Larsen, the former Canadian and now New Englander. They're joining us right here. How are we doing, champions? Harrison, how are things going for you, my friend?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Dallen. Thanks for having me on. It's awesome to be here.
You look a lot like Aidan, our guest that was on a little bit earlier, just a few years older, and that's good to see you. And Josh, my friend, how are you, pal?
Champagne Rugby, good to see you. All well here. Still in the States. Been here since the end of the season with my girlfriend down south, and excited to be on. Harrison, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Josh. Good to see you.
Good.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. Is this your first meeting, you two?
No. I mean, we played a bit at Otago, obviously. So yeah, we haven't spoken in a while. So yeah, it was good to connect up.
No, that's good. I'm glad we can facilitate this. And Harrison, give us a bit about your background, man. So you have a New England accent, if you will. You were actually born in the area, right?
Yeah. So both my parents moved over to Boston. Dad did a postgrad year over there at MIT in Boston. So Mum got over there and found out the jet lag was going to last a bit longer than the usual period, and had me halfway through that. So I was there for 6 months, and then came back to New Zealand where I grew up.
Well, MOT, that's no joke, my friend. Brilliant stuff runs in the family. And listen, what positions do you cover on the field?
Yeah, so mainly I've played first five all through school, and then played a bit of fullback as well when I went down to Otago. But I've also found myself on the wing a couple of times. But I'll play wherever, on the field. I just love playing the game. So if I could be out there, I'll be there.
Well, that's a picture there of Josh. So he says he's got Flav covered, right? So he can kick for the corner. He can play wing as well. Yeah. So I don't know if there's going to be a spot for you, to be fair.
Yeah, I saw that clip. You might be able to give me a few tips.
Cut out, mate. That was just my the one show in the 10 series. I don't think I'll be doing too many of those in 15s. I'll leave it to the professionals for that.
Josh, has anybody said you're too pretty for the forwards?
Oh, I'll take that. Great. Maybe the missus here, but no, mate. I'll get stuck into the dirty work, and I love it. I love it. Hitting rucks and that's my thing. So I'll stick to that, Dallen.
No, listen, Captain Josh, you obviously have big preseason coming up, but it's going to be a difficult and challenging time, as we know. So how are you guys coping with it, and how are you going to get your players on the same page?
Yeah, I think obviously with COVID, people have been at stuck home, and it's going to be exciting times having all come over to Boston. I guess, we sort of have to form a bubble to make sure it's safe. So compared to last year, we probably won't get the opportunities to get out as much as a team in terms of camp and connecting with people outside of other regions, outside of Massachusetts. I guess we got a short period of time, Dallen, to be honest. Thanks for Ryan touched on it. Just, there's not a long preseason phase. It is a long season. So I think there's going to be a bit of team bonding in there, but there's going to be obviously a lot of hard work. And I think with hard work sort of comes bonding and guys get closer. So I think if we can go into round one, fit, know our roles, and obviously be a close teammates and stuff, which I'm sure we will, because we're going to spend a lot of time together in those 4 or 5 weeks leading into it, we'll be in good stead. Yeah,
absolutely. And then Harrison, on your side, you were just involved in the Mitre 10 Cup in New Zealand, so you had a good season there as well. So what brought the decision about to come and play in America in 2021?
Yeah, I guess with my US background, I've always sort of kept an eye on the rugby in the States, and the MLR looks like a great comp, and I think it's only going to get better. So for me to be a professional rugby player for another 6 months and continue my development there, I think it was an awesome opportunity that the Free Jacks have offered me, and I can't wait to get over there and rip in.
Yeah, we can't wait to see your talent on display here. And Josh, that brings up the next question, because there's quite a different looking squad in 2021. So how would you evaluate the changes in makeup from last year to this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Tom Kindley and Mags and that have done a really good job. I think first of all, when I first came up to the Free Jacks, and again this year, we've done a really good job with local players. I think out of any MLR team, in terms of local talent, Boston's got a huge pool of players, and guys like Kyle Secura, Evan Geist, and these guys, Quinton Newcomer, they're really valuable for our team. So I think seeing those guys again involved is really important. And then obviously adding in some of the big South African guys. I mean, Tera, he's going to be an absolute beast for us. So, and then lastly, I guess touching with Ryan, I've worked with him before in Otago, and with Harrison there, he likes to play with a lot of width, a lot of skill level, which I'm really excited for. And so I think we've sort of built a team where we can play that style, very mobile team. I mean, there's a lot of good guys last year that filled that role, but I think this year we've taken another step up. And probably one other thing is I think a type 5 in our front row in particular. You touched on it before, Dallen, around about the scrum being so important in the league, and we've seen that with good scrums. So I'm really excited to work with those guys, and hopefully become a powerful forward pack. Because the saying goes, if we get a good forward pack going, Harrison will have a field day out wide and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that will be really our strength.
Well, until you get into there and display some kicking skill, Josh.
Sorry, I missed you there. You cut out a sec. Sorry.
No, all good. That was a good shred. I'll take it. It's 1-1, my friend. Okay. Harrison, do you have aspirations to represent the US Eagles if given the opportunity?
Yeah, I guess it's not something I've really thought about, but if an opportunity to come up to play international rugby was to come up, there's something you got to definitely look at, and it'd be awesome too. So yeah, who knows what the future might hold, but yeah, definitely that'd be cool.
Yeah, I will say that's one of the other great side things too, is that rugby in the US is improving tremendously in 15s now because of Major League Rugby, and that's a big deal. But having players come across that are eligible for America, of course, that makes a big difference, and you're one of the young guns coming through, which is great. All right, gents, listen, switching gears, any embarrassing moments on and off the field that you have or can think of? Josh, I've given you a month to think of this, so you've got to have something for us.
Yeah, I know. I was sort of I was trying to think about it, mate, but to be honest, I don't want to dog them too much, but when I first came over here, actually after my Otago season, I came over with the Austin Elite, which was 2 or 3 years ago, and we actually went 0-16. So I don't know if that's an embarrassing moment or just embarrassing period, because we all had high hopes, but yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. We're sort of week in, week out, we're losing by 6 or 7. So that sort of period of time was, it was quite frustrating, talking to mates back home. Oh yeah, going over the States, we've got a really good team and stuff, and then not performing. But no, in saying all that, mate, I've got a lot of good mates on there, and they've done a really good job turning things around and stuff. So unfortunately, we don't play them this year, but yeah, that would probably be right up there.
I think it certainly ranks up there as well. And Harrison, anything from your side?
I'm not really someone who gets embarrassed so easily, but one probably moment at training actually sticks out. This year we were doing one-on-one drills as a backs, attack versus defence, and I ended up coming up against John Nareki, who plays, who's played for the All Black Sevens and Highlanders. He's a bit of a flyer, and he just left me grasping for thin air, and I think I'm still reaching for him over at Logan Park 6. But yeah, no. That was a bit embarrassing. Had a few more people had seen it, I think.
Hey, well, listen, that's some ways you could say it's an honor, right? Because again, All Black Sevens type thing. But if it had been some kid just walked off the car park and just stepped you like an absolute bag of rubbish, that would have been a different story,
Yeah, no, I'll let Chalk have that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, listen, last word from each of you. Harrison, I'll let you go first. A message for the New England Free Jack fans that are tuning in ahead of next season.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get over there. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Hopefully we can get over and connect soon. So look forward to it. Thanks. Beautiful.
And Captain Fantastic?
Yeah, just looking forward to seeing everyone again. And, hopefully this time around we will be playing some home games. So, there's yet to see how that looks, but I'm sure we'll be seeing a few of you guys. And, yeah, same to you. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe.
Awesome. Captain Josh Larsen. We'll get him some new earbuds as well as the new season kicks in. We want to thank you too.
I just realised that they're not tired, so don't worry.
No, listen, we want to thank you, Josh and Harrison, for popping on and chatting to us. Really appreciate it. You guys go well, rest up, enjoy your family over the holidays, and we'll catch up with you two legends early in 2021.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dallen. Same to you.
Cheers.
Brilliant stuff from those two stars. Well, that's show 2 done and dusted. We've spoken to Chief Executive Alex Magleby, Performance Manager Tom Kindley, Head Coach Ryan Martin, Assistant Coaches James Willocks. Plus, we've seen some brilliant players in Tera Mtembu and Pieter Jansen, Harrison Boyle and Josh Larsen. So make sure you visit freejacks.com to keep updated with all your MLR rugby news, including our academy, the 3 podcasts, Full Contact CEO, Blood, Sweat and Beers, and Pathways. Plus, grab your founding member match tickets and merchandise. Please keep safe out there, and we'll see you in 2021. As they say in New England, let's ride. Ball over the top. Huge ball thrown there from Pieter down to this Waka. Waka slips through. Waka goes around the outside. Waka is in. Such a nice unit are the Free Jacks. And Poland again sniped through. The little magician gets it away. Stunning stuff. Mike Sal. He just shredded the defense. Mike Sal off the left wing, comes wide to Collins, the stepper. Hit nicely by Audsley. Ball still in field. Dewey has this. It's open space. There's a try on the board here. Beautiful flick pass. Waganabao goes underneath the poles, and it's celebration time for New England. Poasa Waganabao.
Just brilliant.
Playing for Southland to Waka with a dummy. Beautiful stuff from Bodine Waka. Chips it for himself. It sits up. It's still going. Flicked in field. It's champagne rugby from the Free Jacks. Diving in is Liam Still.
Saida taps and goes to the air. Big challenge for this one. Nobody wants it. Foden goes back, wants to usher it past it, hits the upright. Oh, it's unbelievable! That's one of the freakiest tries you'll see in Las Vegas. They better hit the high street for gambling later, because the luck is with the Free Jacks.